a lot of gap in terms of our understanding, and I'm talking as a social scientist, of how to deal with the effects of climate change. I personally, although I am into crisis management programs now, I personally go for the adoption of the adaptation measure. I think companies, the way you design your factories, the relationship of factories with water and all of that have very far-reaching implication on how we can reduce the negative impacts of climate change. And my last word is that both women and men have to equally participate in decision-making and the development of adaptation and mitigation programs. For community-based adaptation integrated approaches, we have to do some participatory processes, and then adaptation programs in agriculture, water, watershed development, upland farming, community sanitation, and community-based programs. I particularly would like to see in the Philippines very, very sharp measures, emergency measures, to respond to sexual and related abuses of women, unwanted pregnancy, discrimination in access to emergency and humanitarian assistance, and most especially measures to respond to children who are separated from their parents, especially during calamities. I think this is my last slide. Thank you very much.
We're both anthropologists, by the way.
So, are there any questions
Sorry,
with that another dimension to crisis management and disasters? Okay, so if there are none, and okay, so Dr. Sobichea can wait till the next speaker. So as our last speaker, we have Mr. Ramon Isberto. He is, let me just give a very short profile. Okay, he's the concurrent public affairs head of the Philippines' biggest telecommunication firm, the Philippine Long Distance Telephone Company, and its wireless subsidiary, of course, SMART. His media experience spans 17 years of work in newspapers, wire service, television, and public relations. He was a special sections editor of leading Philippine Business Daily and the Manila Bureau Chief of an international wire service. He was executive producer of a leading public affairs program and a talk show host of a business and general affairs morning program on GMA Network. He has also served as Vice President for Public Affairs of GMA7. Outside of PLDT, Mr. Isberto is a fellow of the Social Weather Station. All of us know that polling organization. A member of the Philippine Disaster Recovery Foundation and the President of the Corporate Network for Disaster Response. So without much ado, let me call on Mon for the presentation.
Thank you very much. I know that I'm the only one standing between you and lunch, so I'll try to make this quick, but you know. This presentation is kind of messy because that's the reason I was late. We're trying to finish it in time for this presentation, but we'll try to make it as interesting as possible. I'd just like to focus on this this phrase. In case you haven't been reading the newspapers, this phrase is very much in vogue right now. The President Aquino, has been using public-private partnerships in a very broad sense as a way to further improve public services in the country. I'd like to use this phrase as an approach, a way of doing things. Actually, there are several schools of thought about this because some people are saying, well, why are we going into public-private partnerships? Sometimes it's actually a cover for the inability of certain institutions to do the jobs that they're really supposed to do. But on the other hand, there's the other, or you first help your neighbor. And so I think community preparedness, long term, is really the key for being prepared for disasters. Because for in truly cataclysmic situations, let's take a really bad earthquake, you can expect all sorts of disruptions. Communications, transportation, they won't be able to move. Who's the person you will help or who can help you is the one right beside you. So on that note, yeah, I'd like to end the presentation. Thank you.
So we'd like to do a question and answer. Can I have the microphone?
Hi, sorry. There's a mic here.
Sir Isberto, I'm Len for Seedlings. You can contact the Bureau of Forestries. Their office is in North Avenue because we are one of their partners in tree planting.
Okay.
So if you will coordinate with them, I think it is Mr. Ibarra who is our contact person. They will make a design, a plant design of the area you want to plant, and then they will provide indigenous trees. Your only expense is the transportation, getting there, and you will have a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that the two of you will take care of the trees in 3 years, wherein the trees are already grown. Yon. And so with the other companies, if you want to have an CSR on environmental protection or reforestation of your area, you can contact them. The seedlings are free. And if you also want to have to teach people the LGUs, there are 2 model barangays on environmental protection and disaster planning. That is Barangay Philam and the Barangay Holy Spirit, wherein they plant in gulongs, in Coca-Cola bottles, in batya. And the Philam, kung mahirap kausapin ng mahirap, mas mahirap kausapin ng mayaman. So, doon sa Philam subdivision, nagawa ng barangay captain na mapasunod yung mayayaman. So, ngayon, nag-aano na sila na-enjoy nila, ang Quezon City Government nagbigay ng incentive na pagka yung 50% ng basura, yung truck na pumapasok sa subdivision mo ay nabawasan mo, yung na-save mo, ibabalik sa barangay. So, if you want to have a model, those 2 barangays are 2 models.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And also, yung kami sa Taguig, kung kayo, you are working really yung sa communities, nasa local government po. Because in Taguig, with Ayala Foundation, nakuha din namin silang partner. Naturuan namin yung mga squatter kasi sawang-sawa na kami sa huhuli sa kanila sa pagnanakaw. O puro silang magnanakaw, wala na tayong magawa doon. So ang ginawa po namin na CSR namin, tinuruan namin sila kasama ng kasi nagka-problema kami sa MWCI, which is Odorous Creek. Pero naipakita namin kay Mayor Tinga dati, maganda yung relationship namin. Ngayon, hindi pa kami nakakapag-umpisa kay Mayor Cayetano. Pinakita namin kay Mayor Tinga kung gaano kababoy yung mga taga-Taguig. Yung lahat ng creeks nila, puno talaga. Puno ng basura. Tapos yung galing sa CR nila, dun din sa creek. Sa creek din nagtutuloy. So, nanalo kami, hindi naman naging kaso, pero we presented to Mayor Tinga na talagang dapat magkamit, kapit kamay. And with you, Mr. Isberto, madalas na kitang marinig, mapanood, at ikaw ay nasa smart, maybe, isa ka dun sa, iba kasi yung nasa communication ka eh. Iba yung may networking ka eh. Nakakalusot ka, may kasama ka pang advertisement. So, pwede bang karirin mo na, sabi nga. Maging advocacy mo na, major, sabi nga. Karirin mo na. Na kasi, pag nakita mo, hindi ba pwedeng gawin natin parang Hong Kong?
You see that lady behind? Yes, ma'am. That's Kay. Her name is Kay. She's very accommodating, very reasonable. She will. She's the key person for this. All of these things that I showed you this morning are different examples of how companies can get involved. The theory that we've developed, let's say over the past 12 months in Sondoy. By the way, we're almost upon the first anniversary of Sondoy and Pepe. Is that the key here in terms of public-private partnerships is to build coalitions of the willing. Coalitions of the willing. The understatement there is don't waste your time talking with people who are not interested. So if you're interested, if you're like-minded, if you think that all agree on that there's a need to do something here and there, then that's where we'll go. And it's the way we're approaching it. You can, in fact, some people say, but that's not getting to the heart of the problem. Shouldn't the government do this or whatever? The way we're looking at it is it's a bit like the internet. In fact, it's a lot like the internet, where people come together, common interests, etc., and actually get things done. And by the way, the things that the people who come together includes government, organizations, and people. But I think the key spirit there is coalitions of the willing, people who are willing to work together, to set aside differences, commercial differences, political differences, whatever, and get together and achieve a common result. And that's what we need more and more of. Now, you can say, oh, that's a partial solution. But our sense is that if you can get something done and keep it moving, keep pushing. For example, this Marikina watershed, we were whistling in the dark, especially when we saw how big the problem was. But now, without any marketing, we have companies who are approaching us and say, oh, can I plant? So we had, the first one was Accenture. They donated ₱1 million and they're mobilizing their people to plant in 8 hectares. That includes the 3 years now. It's a 3 years maintenance program. I think Jollibee is coming in as well, and a number of other companies. And this is without any marketing. Ayaw namin mag-market kasi hindi namin kaya. If people respond, we were not yet ready at that point in time. But now we're getting ready. So it's people coming together, I want to do this. So what we try to do is give you the means, the opportunity to do what you want. So if you want to prepare for earthquakes, we'll find a way for you to do that now. And please contact CK and anybody else who wants to join this, because first we want to find out who are interested. We think it's important that people do this, but we'll work with whoever wants to do this and we'll organize it for you. Yes, thank you.
Can I? Pwede again, doon sa problem mo sa earthquake, magpunta ka sa local fireman. Kasi ang occupational safety unit ng food terminal, after 40 years, nakalang nila naisipan na magkaroon ng safety unit and environmental. So, wala kaming budget na masyado. Kinaibigan ko yung fireman. Dahil GOCC kami, hindi kami pwedeng magbigay ng pera sa fireman. Kayo private, mas matutuwa sila sa inyo kasi kami ang binibigay namin honorarium, binibigyan namin sila ng kape, asukal at creamer. Dahil may COA kami. Lahat ituturo nila sa inyo, pati yung fire drill, earthquake drill. And makikita nyo kung gaano ka-importante yung earthquake drill kasi nung lecture pinagtatawanan namin, pero nung actual, nakakatakot pala. Yun. Kaya kung saan man kayo, kung sa Makati, kung sa Quezon City, yung fireman ang makakatulong in addition to them.
Okay, so before we have the last presentation, we'd like to give our token of appreciation to our last two speakers. So Dr. Sobichea, may request someone. And Mon, please, kayong ikaw ang magbibigay.